If you guys are on Windows 11 and you want to know how to make it as fast and snappy as possible without really making it look a whole lot different, it's still going to look really good, then you've come to the right video, because today I'm going to go through each and every menu for you, and I'm going to be turning some things off and changing things in Windows 11 to make it better for power users. And also if you're gaming as well, you can gain a couple of FPS on turning a few of these features off. Let's get right into it, but I've got also a sponsor spot which you guys are going to want to check out, especially if you want to get Windows 11 activated, where we've got here a Windows 10 Pro key. You can get it for as little as $12.50 US using the coupon code TYC, 35% discount if you use this coupon code. This is a back to school special offer and it's valid until the 1st of September. This is a promotion from VIP SCD Keys. They've also got, if you want to get Office 2019, as well as a Windows 10 Pro key, which works on Windows 11. You can get this in a combo for $43. But if you've already got Windows 10 or Windows 11 activated and you just want Office 2019, then you can get that for $37 on its own, and this is activated to your Microsoft account too. So it doesn't matter if you change computers on a Windows install, you can log in, download your Office, and you're good to go without having to remember your product key. And there's also some other back to school specials, which I'll put in the description below, but don't forget to use that coupon code for a big discount. Let's get on with it. And now we've installed Windows 11, I'm going to be in the bottom right hand corner during this tutorial guiding you guys through the whole process. Another thing is too about today's video is that everything that we do is also reversible. We're not doing anything that can't be undone. So if you come into a setting and it's maybe in the future, say for instance you're using a projector and you need that service then turned on, well then you can go back and turn it on if you then get a projector. So the first thing we're going to do now is just left click on Windows right here and then just type in settings, and you can also hit the Windows key if you've got one of those on your keyboard. But we'd left click on settings, get into this menu here. Now there's going to be two menus, one on the left here with a lot of different settings, and then one right here in the middle with a second lot of settings. So on this first one here, system, left click on this, we want to go down to notifications, left click right here. And what I'd like to do now is just turn off these two little options down here, because these are services that are running. I like to keep them off. Then we're just going to left click on focused assist, and then we're going to turn off these two right here and leave on gaming, because we want, if anything's crazy is going on, we want to not be getting interrupted when we're gaming. Suppose these other ones, if I'm listening to music or whatever and Windows just has to tell me something, then that's okay. I'll let them tell me something. But also in Focus Assist, I like to put this on priority only. If you turn this off, you will get everything notified, like Facebook messages, and it really makes, for me, it's a lot of clutter. So priority really only tells me, for instance, when someone's sending a really important email, I like to leave this one on, because if it's a really important email, then you want to get it straight away. But then after we've done that, we can left click on this top left arrow here, and we can left click that twice, and that'll take us back to this menu right here, where we can then go down to storage, and we will get onto power later, because this menu here in power is just very limited. There's not a whole lot here. When we can go via a different method, we can unlock some other settings. But left click on storage right here. And what we want to do here is I'm going to turn off storage sense. I just find I never use this. I don't want another service turned on when it comes to just Windows really running in the background, any invasive services. So after doing that, we can then left click our way back to this menu again, and then scroll down to the bottom here and go to the About section, left click that, and then we can left click on System Protection. And what I like to do here is I like to turn this off. I've never found, for me personally, System Restore, it just doesn't work properly. So I like to, sorry, I'll do that again for you guys. Left click on Configure, and then left click Disable System Protection. Then I also like to left click Delete. And so what that'll do is it'll free up a bit of storage on our drive, but as well as get rid of this annoying service that's in the background as well as System Protection. And then while we're on this little tab here with the system properties, then we've also got another few tabs that we're going to go through. So left click on remote here. And what I like to do is I like to click on advanced, and then I like to turn this off by just left clicking that, left clicking OK, then left clicking right here, clicking OK again. You guys, if you've watched some of my other optimization tutorials, you may be familiar with this tab. And then we left click on advanced. And what we're going to do here is go to performance settings, left click that. And what I like to do is I like to go to a custom here, and I like to turn off all these animations and fades, as well as these slide open combo boxes. So we left click that, and that's basically just going to change our windows a little bit, and it's going to essentially make it a lot more snappier. And it will take a little while to do this, but once it's done, it should be okay. And so you can see here, it's like, it's working. It's like, oh, what's going on, Brian? And it's like, well, now it's going to be better. So you notice that things will be a lot more snappier as well, just after doing that one setting. But after we're done with that, we can get back to this menu right here and then go to Startup and Recovery and left click on Settings. And it's a little bit of a bug still, but Windows 11 still recognizes this as Windows 10. But what we want to do here is left click this here, time to display the list of operating systems. I like to turn this off and then left click OK, and then left click OK once again. And then after we're done with this menu right here, we can then go to our side menu on the left tab here and then left click on Bluetooth and devices. Now, if you guys need to have Bluetooth turned on, of course, if you're streaming music to different players and whatnot, then you can have this on. I don't. This is my work computer, so I like to strictly keep it for work purposes. So I like to actually turn this off and have as little devices as possible. Basically, the less that can go wrong, the less that can go wrong. But there is a section here called cameras. I'm gonna left click on this because I like to, if we left click on camera privacy settings, I like to make sure that only the apps that I'm gonna be using can get access to my camera. So Feedback Hub, I don't want Microsoft getting feedback from my camera. So I'm gonna left click that. Microsoft Photos as well, I'm gonna left click, turn that off, as well as Xbox Game Bar, because I don't use the Xbox Game Bar, and all these cameras here. So for instance, Streamlabs, that's already using the camera, same with Skype. So we're gonna leave those on, as well as the camera app. Say for instance, you wanna take a basic picture, then you can leave that on too. But I thought that was an important one if you're using a webcam, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are. So after we're done with the camera settings, we can then go to our personalization tab here. Just click on the left click on this personalization right here, and this has actually got quite a few important settings. The first of which is going to be a personal, I guess it matches the theme, right? Personalization, how you like to have Windows looking. But I like to left click on the background here and make sure it's not a slideshow, because this essentially has, again, another service in the background running. And so what I like to do here is use a picture. If you are on a complete potato, you may wish to just pick a solid color, which will, again, free up a little bit of resources. But I find a picture and then I use this one right here. As you can see here, I like these fancy colors and the dark background, because what I'm going to be showing you soon is we're going to be going for a dark theme in Windows right here. So if we go now just to the, so we've done pictures there, that's fine. If we then left click on our personalization, we can then left click on colors just under background. And this is where I like to, so we choose your mode here. So this is where I like to go to dark. So left click on this little arrow right here, and then we go to left click dark, and this is going to change everything. So this tutorial is never going to be the same again. But this is just, I find it's really easy on my eyes, especially at nighttime. I absolutely love dark mode on Windows 11 because it'll change all your different tabs. Like when you're browsing in Google Chrome, for example, YouTube will then go to dark mode. Then also right here, transparency effects. Straight after that, I like to turn this off, because what that does is it then just makes Windows use less resources in general. If anyone remembers Windows Vista, this was a horrible setting that really, back in the day, really put some stress on computers. But accent color as well, automatic. I like to actually change this, left click on manual, and I like to have a red setting here. You know, red goes faster, and so we're gonna put the red for that theme. Now, in terms of the extra contrast themes, if you want to mess around with that, you can. But personally, this is just in a nutshell how I like to have Windows running, just from a personal standpoint and how it looks. Now, after this, we can left click on the personalization tab again and go down to the lock screen right here, left click that. And what I like to do here is I like to turn off again. So we want as least crap running as possible. I like to show the lock screen background picture on sign in. I like to turn this off. And also while we're at it, I like to left click this one right here, Windows Spotlight, and then left click picture and just have it consistent with my Windows theme. And then also left click this right here, get fun facts, tips and tricks. I don't want any fun facts. I got enough fun facts to deal with IRL without having Windows to tell me what's fun and what's not. So after the personalization tab, we can then left click on apps and then left click on apps and features. And what I like to do here is I like to uninstall any of just the baked in crap that I'm never going to use in Windows in general. And for instance, Feedback Hub, I like to get rid of this. I don't really care for it too much. Films and TV, I already use other programs, so I don't need these. I mean, Get Help, if you need some help right now, Microsoft may be able to give it to you. I don't know if that's your way of getting help, then so be it. But moving through here, you'll just notice that Mail and Calendar, another thing that I don't really need because I use Outlook Express. Maps, they won't let you uninstall some of these things. Same with Microsoft Edge and Microsoft Edge Update. Going through, I'll just quickly move through and I'll show you the ones that I'm keeping through and the ones that I'm uninstalling too. So I'll probably just speed it up from here on in and just... And now the last thing to do on the Personalization tab is to left click on the taskbar here. And there's some important settings here because I like to turn off this task view because Alt-Tab still works as well as Windows, the key tab. That will bring up everything if you want to. You can see here, you've got a different kind of tabbing that's available too. So I don't really need this task view bar because I hotkey. And widgets as well, it's another thing, and you'll see them disappearing on the bottom here while we're doing that. But you can also go down, left click on Taskbar Behaviors. And what I like to do here is I like to left click right here and go to left. So I like to have my taskbar where it was. A lot of Apple users might prefer it in the center, but I also like to show taskbar on all my displays. And what this is going to do is it's then going to put the taskbar on both, or if you've got 3 monitors, for example, it's going to have all those taskbars on all those windows. Next up here, we can go down to time and language and left click on date and time zone. And what I like to do here is I like to turn this off. This is set the time automatically. Basically, that's another service in the background that we don't need running. Of course, if you don't have your time set to your time zone, you can actually turn this on as well as select your time zone. And then after that, turn it off. Then after that, we can move through with the gaming tab. And what I like to do here is I like to make this minimized as much as possible. So if you're using an Xbox controller on PC, you manage to leave this on, but I like to turn this off, for example, and then left clicking on gaming, getting back to captures. I like to, again, not have Microsoft doing the capturing. As you can see here, I'm using Streamlabs, and sometimes I also use NVIDIA GeForce Experience off a hotkey. So this sort of stuff here doesn't really work for me. But again, going through game mode as well, if you leave game mode on, this can be a good thing, especially if you're playing a lot of games on the Microsoft Store. But personally, I turn this off because I haven't really found in the past that it makes much of a difference at all. And in fact, what I've seen is doing other optimizations outside of game mode actually brings your performance up a little bit better than this otherwise would. And after the gaming tab, we can then left click on privacy and security. Now there's quite a few settings here that we're going to change. Mainly going to start off with the left click on Windows security. And we're going to bring up here, we just left click on this, for example, the virus and threat protection. Then we want to go to left click manage settings. And so what this is going to do is bring up a heap of different menus here, where personally I like to turn off cloud delivered protection as well as automatic sample submission and tamper protection. Then after we're done with this tab, we can left click and close it down at the top right there, and then go back to the privacy and security tab, left click that, and go down to the diagnostics and feedback tab and left click this right here. And what I like to do is I like to turn this off. So this is the send optional diagnostic data, and I like to turn this off. And then I also like to delete the diagnostic data. So once we've cleared it, we've turned it off, we're clearing it out. And then there's the feedback frequency. And so I like to left click this and never. So this is going to turn off 2 settings that sometimes will poll your PC for telemetry. And then we'll also soon we'll double down on that and turn some other settings off. But let's just keep going through this privacy and security tab here and activity history. And you can show my activity history on this device. You can turn this off if you want to. I like to keep this off personally. Some people like to turn it on, but it's essentially an extra service that's running in the background yet again. And here's your activity history. I like to clear this. If you've got also someone else using your computer and they don't really know what they're doing and you want to backtrack their steps, this can be a good thing to keep on as well. So once we're done with this tab, we can left click on the settings, get back to this menu right here. And then what I like to do is make sure some of these settings right here are turned off, especially location. I don't use this. If you use it, you might want to keep it on, but I make sure that's turned off. Then camera, we've already set this up. So camera should be limited in that we did that optimization before. But then microphone, I want to make sure that only programs that I use are using my microphone. For instance, Microsoft Photos, they don't need to use my microphone, as well as Cortana. I don't use Cortana, but Camera might be able to use it. Xbox Game Bar, I don't use. So I don't need that off Xbox Game Bar. But then you can see here all the other programs that use my microphone. I like to leave them on because they need to use my microphone. So it's basically just minimalizing the programs here. If we go down, left click on contacts, contact access, I don't use Microsoft Contacts. So I like to turn that off and keep that off. Then as we go through the list here, I'm just going to be turning off the ones that I personally don't use. So that would be phone calls, call history. I don't use my Microsoft Windows desktop PC with anything to do with my phone, as well as the emails I already use Outlook Express. Then continuing through with messaging, we turn that off, and then just really just going through each of them that you don't use and turning these things off. So radios is off, other devices, communicate with unpaired devices. I don't really, again, projectors, Xbox Ones, I don't sync them to my PC. So I don't need these services. Music library, I like to turn this off with Groove. I like to keep this on, but I like to turn it off with Groove Music because I don't use Groove Music. So after we're done with that, we can then left click on the Windows update here. And what I like to do is left click on advanced options and then go to, I think it's the delivery optimization. So we left click on this. And what we want to do here is we want to turn this off. So allow downloads from other PCs. So what this is going to do, if you leave this on by default, which Microsoft Windows 11 does, it's basically going to make you a BitTorrent for seeing all the new updates and everything on Windows 11. And since if you're playing a game, for example, and if you're in Australia like me and your internet's terrible, then this might not be the best thing to do. So turn this off. And I mean, if you got really good internet, you might want to leave it on. But again, it's another service that just interrupts with the way Windows works. So now we close that menu down, we can then left click on our Windows button here, or we can hit it on the keyboard. Either way is fine. And we can just type in Control Panel and we should see it right there. We can left click on that. And what I like to do now is go to View By and we go to Small Icons. And so right here, I like to go to the programs. So there's also the power options, which we'll go into later. But we go into programs and features. And what I like to do here is turn Windows features on or off. And so this one, you can turn off Windows Media Player right here. And I like to left click that little arrow, go yes, okay. And then what this is gonna do is just gonna get rid of Windows Media Player. So what I use is I use VLC. There's also other really good ones that are much more efficient than Windows Media Player. So we can restart our PC later too. But if we left click now, Control Panel Home, we can then left click on Power Options. And what we want to do here is balanced recommended. So I actually been using the balance setting. I find it works really well. Windows 11 with the hibernation setting actually turns my computer off and on, and I've never had one problem with it. So your mileage may vary. You might want to put this on a high performance, especially if you're playing games competitively. But you'll notice if we left click on our, sorry, I'll get back to that. Change advanced power settings, left click on that. You'll notice here in the turn hard drive after never. So I never turn my hard drives off. I like to keep them running all the time because I find that that can cause issues if they do turn off and on, especially if you're using your computer 10 minutes at a time, 20 minutes at a time and whatnot. So also another thing is we can go to slideshow, make sure that's paused. And then some people also like to leave the processor state on 100% here. So if you are hardcore gaming, I would put this on 100, but since I do like to take advantage of the power savings in Windows 11, which I think work really well, they've been updated from that of Windows 10. They've actually done a little bit of secret sauce here where I found it's working a lot more stable. I like to keep this on. Now we click OK there, and then we can left click back here on this little arrow. And then if you guys got a PC where you hit the power button, for example, or you go to turn it off and it just won't turn off, there's also another setting you can do here where you can left click on choose what the power buttons do. And now this is a funny one because a lot of people, like when I sell, because I sell a few PCs, you can go left click this change settings that are currently unavailable and you can turn all these off. But if you're having a problem with your PC turning off. If you're not having any problems, you can just leave these all on. But that's a little update that I'd add in to my videos that I've found really can help you if you press the power button and the computer just stays on 24/7. So now we're done with that menu, we can then left click right here and close that down. And we're now back at the main menu again, where we can then left click our Windows key and then type in here services.msc and left click And what we're going to do is we're going to turn off 2 settings here. So how I like to do this is I like to left click name, and then I also like to left click running until we've got all the names in order, and then we've got them all in running order. And that way I can just find the services that I'm looking for, which I'm looking for 2 in particular, and that is connected user experiences and telemetry. We're going to right click this, and then we're going to left click properties, and then we're going to disable that, click apply, click OK, and then I'm going to go down to distributed link tracking client and do the exact same thing. Right click, left click properties, and then left click and then go disabled, click OK. And then that will basically, the next time we restart our computer, which we're going to restart it after we finish all these optimizations, we'll then get these 2 invasive services won't be running anymore. And now we're on the final furlong of this Windows 11 optimization guide. This is going to be the hard drive optimizations, as well as turning off the defrag automatic servicing setting. So we're going to left click again our Windows tab, and then we're going to go type in defrag. Sorry, I typed in degrag. Just type in defrag, and it should bring this one up here, defragment and optimize drives. And so what you want to do is you can optimize your drives, say once a week manually, because what it has here, if we look here, scheduled optimization on, left click that, and that's a service that's essentially running. So I like to turn that off, just left click that off, click OK, and then I can just manually optimize my drives. Even while I'm doing a tutorial, which I probably shouldn't have done, we'll just let that get trimmed and optimized. And you can see here my MLC scratch is also a RAID 0 array, so Windows can't really do anything about that. I'll have to optimize that through the separate RAID app with Intel. And then the final optimization for the hard drives is to left click that Windows tab, type in File Explorer, but you'll notice here that I've got it in the Windows tabs here. So these are all my tabs. These are all the programs that I regularly use here on this desktop. But if you guys want to have that like me, you can right click File Explorer, and then you can also pin it to the taskbar. So that's one thing I like to do because I always use that. So we can just left click File Explorer, and then we can bring it over here. And what we're going to do here is both these drives on our computer, we're going to right click them, and then we're going to optimize them. So essentially we can right click on our C drive, left click properties, and then we go to hardware. So we're going to left click this Sabrant Rocket Q right here, and then we're going to left click properties, and then we're going to left click on change settings. And what we're going to do here is now left click on the policies tab, and we're going to turn this on here, turn off Windows write cache buffer flushing on the device. So what this will do is it'll speed up your drive, especially if you're using it for video editing. This is an important one to have on as a scratch drive because it just makes it that much more snappier. Now, I believe if you've got, for instance, we've got an Intel RAID 0 here. I believe they do it by default on the, if you've installed the Intel RAID manager. So yeah, and so that's already installed that. So you can go through your main drives here and just make sure that setting's turned on, and it'll essentially speed up those drives if you're using them for performance. Now the final little optimization to do here is left click on these 3 little dots and then go to left click options, and we go to view, left click on the view tab right here, and we're just gonna show sync provider notifications. We're gonna left click that and turn that off, and also use sharing wizard, and we're gonna left click that and turn that off too, even though they recommend it. I don't need the sharing wizard because I personally never use it. And there it is with Windows 11. It should be running a lot snappier, a lot smoother. And so what we've done behind the scenes is we've turned off a lot of services, a bit of bloat that I otherwise, especially me personally, I otherwise wouldn't use, especially in my workflow, that's going to make things a lot better in the long run, and of course, save me time and possibly even frustration when it comes to some of those things. If you're on a potato, it could get overloaded. And before I get out of here, some of you guys may have some questions about Windows 11. For instance, Brian, why don't you just upload a pre-built Windows 11 file with all these changes made? I will do that once the Windows 11 retail hits the streets. I'll make a video on it with all the changes. I'm also hoping that Windows 11 will change a few things and bring back especially the drag and drop through the taskbar feature that was in Windows 10. For some reason they took it away, but it's a really good feature that I use a lot when I'm video editing or if I'm using Photoshop, for example. It's an absolute must-have, so I'd love Microsoft to bring that back. But also some other things you can do on Windows 11 is make sure that your monitors are at their max refresh rates for their resolution. You can do this in the display tab on the advanced settings. And another little feature that I've noticed in Windows 11 that's pretty cool is in the speakers. You can get, if you select your speakers, and you'll find a little option there called Enhanced enhanced audio, I like to turn this on, as I find it just gives you your audio and everything that you do in Windows just that little bit of a crispier edge. And I personally like the little bit of color that they've introduced in the audio on this setting. Also, other than that, on the desktop, you may notice that I got some programs that are a little bit different to that of Windows 11's default install. So I'll put in some of the must-haves in the description below. But also on that note, don't forget to check out today's video sponsor, SCD Keys, if you want to get a very cheap and single-end user license for Windows 10, and you can use that on Windows 11. That'll activate absolutely fine. It's what I'm using at the moment. And you've also got the option there for Office 2019 as well as the combo. Links will all be in the description. And as always, if you guys have stayed this far and you're enjoying that content, then be sure to hit that like button and smash that sub, ring the bell, and I'll catch you in another video very soon. But also let us know in the comment section below if there's some other tips and tricks that you've got for making Windows 11 just that bit better. Then I'd love hearing them as well, and I'm sure other people would love to check them out. But in terms of regedit hacks, I have tried one already that was meant to bring back the drag and drop function into Windows 11 from Windows 10, but unfortunately it just took away the time in the bottom right hand corner, and the Windows Start menu no longer worked properly after that. So that was a weird one. Anyhow guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out for now. Bye.